This has been a movie I've wanted since I was like 9. Twisters is directed by Lee Isaac Chung and stars Daisy Edgar Jones, Anthony Ramos, Harry Haddon Patton, Brendan Para, and of course, the fantastic Glenn Powell. I went out of this movie with a different mindset than I went in with it. As soon as I went in this movie, I was like, okay, this is probably not going to be a good movie. Much like the original Twisters, deep down, it's not the best made movie ever, but you still get something out of it. It's probably one of the most rewatchable 90s movies ever. So I was going into this thinking, okay, I'm not going to get like any deep meaning or anything out of this. I'm not going to really care about the characters in this. It's just going to be bodies flying all over the place, tornadoes blowing shit up. But damn it if I really liked this movie more than just for the tornado sequences, which are there. They're kind of dumb, but I like it for that. The first act of this movie, right out the gate, first 10 minutes, is like, okay, this set the tone for this entire movie. It has dumb moments, it has comedic moments that are kind of stupid, and then all of a sudden it just goes batshit crazy out of nowhere and turns into this like trauma-filled first act, PTSD all over the place. I was like, really? I was very fascinated by how they started off this movie, which I actually found out I was enjoying the scenes with the characters a lot more than I thought I was going to, and that's something I really have to give this movie credit for, because there are very, very few disaster movies out there that tackle more with the characters than they do the disasters. I think they're both actually in here very like meshed together. Like there's enough tornado scenes to keep the people that went into this wanting some stupid action sequences, they're in there too, and they're pleasing those people. And then the people that want like more character driven stuff, they're in there too, and they're done very well. I really liked what they did with Daisy Edgar Jones in the first act. They kind of ditch what they do in this, what they're trying to set up with her in the second act, but they kind of bring it back in like the end of the third act. And it's not like Joe's backstory in the original Twister. Yeah, it's heartbreaking for her, but you don't feel it for us. This movie, they make you feel it, and they make you feel it hard. Let's talk about why you came to see this movie, the tornado sequences. The tornado sequences in this movie, yes, there's some shaky cam there, but it's not during sequences or parts of the scene where you want to be able to see everything. The shaky cam's like usually like close-ups on people's faces or anything like that. It's there, it's noticeable, but it doesn't really take away from everything. Now, the tornado, the CGI, movie. There are 5 sequences of tornadoes in this movie that are done, except for one, but I'll get to that in the con section. Some feel a little tame. I really wish they did go like werewolf with this. I'm kind of glad they didn't go werewolf this, because I feel like that would have ruined it for a lot of people. I mean, I would have been fine with a movie that just went like absolutely buck wild and didn't care about physics, but they do feel like some of these things could happen, apart from a couple of things involving him driving into a tornado. That's but there are a lot of things in this movie that I could see being meteorology accurate when it comes to meteorology. That's what I'm trying to say. And you see this all over the trailers. The synopsis of this movie is that they are trying to essentially dissipate a tornado themselves. They want to completely obliterate a tornado themselves, so it doesn't inflict any more harm on people, and they can stop it before, so they don't even need a warning, you know, just to stop it, prevent any more casualties. And it does kind of make sense if you really think of the science of it. They're not like, it's not like Sharknado where they're just, when hot and cold air meet, they throw a bomb into it and then it explodes and then the thing blows up. No. The science does kind of hold up. I don't know if it would work in a sense, but like it's essentially they throw diapers in the tornado. That's all I'm gonna say. But they like make this chemical mixture that causes the condensation in the tornado to evaporate. Long story short, it's just an updraft, and they're taking away that updraft and turning it into a downdraft, causing the tornado to implode on itself and just completely dissipate. They're pretty much just stopping like one of the core ingredients that causes a tornado to occur. And It makes sense enough. I mean, I don't think it's meteorologically accurate, but it's enough to be like not absurd like Sharknado, but still make sense and allow for some pretty creative action sequences involving the Tornado Wranglers, which I have to say are my favorite part of the movie. Glenn Powell is incredible as always. I think this is actually my favorite role of his, because he starts as this like very one-dimensional Carrie Elways kind of a character, but with a little bit more charisma, and then he like suddenly becomes this like three-dimensional character. Now, things that this movie did better than the original. The story is 10 times better than the original story. This story actually has depth to it. It actually has characters that we all care about. I don't think there's one character other than like the antagonist in this movie that I care about. I pretty much care about most of the characters in this. I care about their goal. I feel like accomplishment when they finally get that goal done. And like, there's no divorce papers in this. If you've seen the original Twister, you would get sick and tired of seeing those divorce papers every time they pop up, because it would be like taking the movie to a grinding halt. The pacing, I feel like I'm entertained during the whole time. There's no point in this movie where I felt bored. I felt like it was still moving on, especially for a 2-hour movie. There are a couple of scenes where I'll be like, okay, you know what, you can just snip that out a little bit. There's, the cliche second act breakup, and then they come back in the third act. They have that. They have all the 90s cliches in this. Now, one more positive before I get into the negatives. The chemistry between the whole cast is just, it's there. That's why I think I like the Tornado Wranglers more than I like, I don't even know if they had a name. Just the Storm Chasers in the first movie that we follow with, like Dusty, Bill, Joe, all of them rabid. Like, I find I like these characters more than the other ones. Not saying I didn't like them, but these people have a lot more, personality, some funny moments here and there. You feel heart there, and that's really why I like this movie a lot more than I like the original. And now, but there are some negatives. This movie does have some negatives, and that's expected for a movie like this. Come on, it's a disaster movie. The first negative I have to point out is the comic relief can be a little at points. Like, it feels very Venom, if I had to guess, very 90s. It feels like they're trying to be 90s when it comes to the comedy. And there's a couple of moments where I do get a laugh out loud moment. Pretty much all the scenes with Glenn Powell are pretty funny. When they don't try to be 90s, it's funny, but when they try to hammer in like a quote, a very quotable line, like pretty much like in Jurassic Park, you remember the "life finds a way" line. There's a lot of moments in this movie where they're trying to hammer in a memorable line, like the twins, like we got twins, like that feels like it's very like 90s movie trying to have a quotable moment that people will remember for the rest of their life, or the suck zone, which is in this movie. Side note, I'm so happy that they put the suck zone in this. It's the suck zone. What the fuck dry? Like, it's a big WTF moment with dry humor in it. That's the best way I can describe that. I don't know how. You just really have to see the humor to believe it. Another negative is that I'm like looking at my notes that I wrote down throughout the movie. I think I already talked about this. The shaky cam. Yeah, the shaky cam is present. It's pretty much Captain America Winter Soldier when it comes to the action sequences. It's not always shaky cam, it's not always handheld, but it's there. It doesn't take away from like how badass the action sequences are, but it's still there and it's still kind of distracting. I just have to mention that. There is one more negative. I feel like this movie is only geared to one audience, and that's the people that actually enjoyed the original Twisters, or the original Twister, I should say. And I could really see someone like saying, "Oh my god, this movie is so stupid. Why do people watch this?" Because it is kind of stupid. It is pretty painfully obvious that they are trying to be something new. It's not actually painful, but there are scenes in this movie where it's like, am I watching 90s sequel to this movie, because this movie, if it wasn't in modern day, like if they just took away, like, say, the cars and the technology, this could have been like a 1998 movie. And that's not always welcoming. It's what I wanted, but I can see why it's not something everyone would want. And that's really what makes a good movie, something that can bring in everyone and everyone can agree on. This movie is gonna get some hate online. I haven't seen anyone really talk negatively about this movie though. Most of the majority of the people who watch this on YouTube, like those like Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, Angry Joe, I've seen them, like this movie. And I have to agree with most of their points. I do thoroughly enjoy this movie. It's pretty much just like a switch your brain off summer blockbuster. That's what you're getting into. Don't think it's going to be anything more. But just to sum up the positives, great action, great chemistry between the cast, incredible CGI, best CGI I've seen in a movie this year, honestly. The set pieces really, I think, is what makes this movie so much fun, because they actually shot this in Oklahoma. They actually shot this during the summertime in Oklahoma, which also on Kodak film, if I have to, I must add, shooting this on Kodak film was a genius move. This movie is gorgeous to look at, absolutely gorgeous. The cinematography is great. I'm so happy they shot this on Kodak film, because it just really allows that CGI to pop a lot more. I feel like if this was shot on digital, it would just feel a lot more dry. It wouldn't feel as, like, engaging. It would just felt like another Roland Emmerich movie, which it thankfully doesn't. I'm glad this isn't like 2012 or like The Day After Tomorrow. I hate those movies. Oh my god, this is not that. Thank the Lord. Long story short, this movie has heart, and that's something that you rarely get in movies today. This feels like I was watching a summer blockbuster that came out in the 90s, and that's something I miss, because most summer blockbusters in this like era of film are either Marvel movies or sequels to other movies. This does not feel like a sequel. You could watch this movie without seeing the original Twister. Obviously, there's some inspiration from the original, but this feels so standalone. It feels so original. This movie ended up surprising me. It ended up surprising me, and that's something that a movie rarely does with me, especially this year. All my expectations were met with movies this year. This one was not. This one blew it out of the park. I was expecting this to just be dumb, stupid characters driving into tornadoes, getting sucked away, body count off the charts, stupid action scenes, but still enjoyable nonetheless. Nope, I ended up caring about the characters. Honestly, now that I think about it, I have not seen Longlegs, so I'm gonna keep this on the down low, but this was my favorite movie of the year so far. Until I see Longlegs, hope that one probably will blow this one out of the park, no pun intended. Or until Beetlejuice comes out. This is probably going to be my most enjoyable watch of the year. Maybe not my favorite movie of the year. I still think A Quiet Place Day One was my favorite of this year so far. But when it comes to entertainment value, this one knocks it out of the park. The hyper-realism is here. It's not as hyper-realistic as like the first one, where like cows are flying through the air and all that. 8 out of 10. This movie's an 8 out of 10. It's stupid, it's hilariously dumb. The characters are there. I like the characters a lot more in this. The pacing's there. It's not paced fantastically, as this is not like Ghostbusters level pacing, but the pacing's fine. It keeps me engaged. I was entertained throughout the whole thing. This is a highly rewatchable movie for me. It surprised me in all the ways that I was not expecting to be surprised in. The opening scene is like the perfect essence of like setting expectations for the movie you're about to see. It has stupid moments in it. It has intense moments in it. Long story short, check it out. If you have seen the movie, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Let me know if you agree with anything, if you disagree on, or if I didn't touch up on any parts that could be seen as negatives. I would like to know if I missed anything. Thank you so much for watching. Those of you who did, if you really liked what you see here today, make sure you subscribe. I do have a gaming channel. This is not my only channel. This is like my third channel, I think. I think. The ones that I actually actively post on. Check that out. But this has been I Talk Too Much. Next episode's probably going to be me talking about Deadpool Wolverine. I already have tickets for that Thursday. So I got tickets for the premiere at my local Horizon Cinemas, which is 10 times better than my AMC in this area, which should be closed and condemned because it's practically a gigantic physical embodiment of a rat. Until next time, I'll see you later.